discussed beforehand. And not allowing you guys time to feedback on it. So these are the questions that refer to the Elven quest line. And in short, there's no good reason to give you. It wasn't something that we had fully considered, and we want to sort of apologise for doing that. We appreciate that any changes to existing content like that, while it's important that they're polled, it's also important that you guys have a chance to discuss them with us first before we just go ahead and poll them. So we'll make sure to do that from now on. The second part was asking about the changes themselves. If you haven't seen them, head to a poll booth and you'll know what we're talking about. These are things like, did I say something ridiculous again? Oh, okay. we'll ignore Wolf.
I want to see it too. I want to laugh like that.
So the changes we're talking about are things like adding a couple of runite rocks to Turanwin for people who've completed the...
I'm so
you need
sorry.
a minute?
I'm okay, I'll get through it. I'm so sorry.
This is weird.
I know.
I don't know what I missed now.
I mean, I'd say read the chat, but I don't want them to keep doing it because I'm trying to get on with the stream.
John, can you turn the TV off, please? Otherwise, I'm going to be doing it all day.
My feedback.
Just don't read it.
Can you take your glasses off and just so I can see it?
Okay, so we've muted you guys for a minute while we compose ourselves and carry on. So yeah, these changes are things that make the Elven quest line, particular points of them which have caused a lot of frustration to a lot of players in the past, make them a bit more palatable, I suppose is the best way to say it. But there's been quite a strong reaction in terms of concerns over easyscape and that sort of thing, which we wanted to address. So the reason behind them, to be quite direct about it, was to have more players engaging with the content, to make players not drop out at the most frustrating points of those quests, which we thought were needlessly so. Obviously, we didn't want to go ahead and make those changes just as integrity, which is why they're being polled. But we appreciate that we should have asked you guys first. But yeah, that's the reason behind them. And yeah, I think that basically covers what we wanted to say on that topic.
Yeah, it was data-driven dropouts that whoever saw that thought we can try and fix that. I got polled, and we shouldn't really have done that. Essentially, obviously it's still in a poll right now. I can't talk about results really.
No,
because they're not out. But yeah, if something got through that we thought you guys wouldn't want to happen, we'd talk about it in the future when the results are out, presumably.
Yes, although I think we'll go with the results of the poll.
Yes, of course.
It would need 3/4 of voters to actually want them changed for them to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Poll's still open till Monday, if I recall correctly.
Yes. So hopefully that addresses the questions that Gentle Traction and a lot of you had. I'm going to move on to the others then.
We can bring the chat back up, by the way, now.
Yeah.
Hey, you've calmed him down.
So the first is from a player called Aurorus, and they want to know if we can make the legacy agility courses more viable. They talk about the Apatol course as an example, saying that it doesn't award marks, requires you to spend money because of the staminas, and this is for poor XP as well as small click boxes. Mm-hmm. To make them more viable, they suggest something like the fetch the stick mechanic that you see in the werewolf course, perhaps scaling to agility level that would allow you to get some extra XP per lap.
I really liked back in the day when the gnome and the barbarian got expanded.
Oh, those courses.
Yes, I'd rather do something like that, like just expand an existing course for a higher level so that there's a reason to go back to them kind of thing.
Bad mental images of how a gnome and a barbarian got physically expanded themselves.
But that also works, that's a viable reasoning as well. I mean, I'm not super over the moon that the level 60 agility course is best in slot until 90 still. I think it should be better if you're putting that extra effort in with the teleporting. I do think it's got a niche there, but it's got a niche to the point where the other courses are just irrelevant.
It
and
does-
that's not really right as well.
It does feel a shame as well because, I mean, the courses are nice, they're fun, they look good. So if players aren't using them,
No.
yeah, making them more viable would be good.
I wouldn't say the Polnovich one looks that good, but the Relica one really does.
That bloody
Fair enough.
flag is always there, like just hanging. I hate that.
Nah, the annoying thing's the ladder.
the weird.
The floating ladder.
Yeah, we weren't able to find a compromise between you not being able to see it while you're using it and you being able to see it while you're on the ground well below it. Unfortunately, the original blog for the agility courses was sort of planned and published before anyone did a tech feasibility check on it. So we were sort of stuck with the routes that players have been told to expect at that point.
Tell you what does look good, the new agility course.
Yes, that's looking good.
There's a lot of stuff that looks good in that new area,
It's looking shiny.
which I'm not going to try and pronounce.
Very shiny indeed. I'll move on to the next question then from Hail Doge. They suggest that we add the teleports from the Arceus spellbook to the Portal Nexus, noting that maybe accept the Barrows one because that would be a bit strong.
I don't think it'd be OP. You are spending 1,000 teleports worth of rooms. So,
This is true.
From what I remember, because I worked at it, it could easily be expanded into. Because obviously in the future, we're probably going to release more teleports, like a Prifdness teleport maybe.
Maz made the thing expandable, all right.
It could be done. So more of a question of whether people really want it.
They seem a bit mixed in this, and other than the ones who agree about not doing Barrows. And some who want Barrows as well.
Okay.
Make it 1,000 tabs instead, so it requires the Arceus.
Make it
could
require
just
the
buy
blocks
the
as
top.
well.
We could just require the blocks as well, but yeah,
Requiring the
With
blocks
tabs,
would
though,
make
you
it a
can
bit
just buy
better.
the
it
tabs.
just seems really. I know the point of the Nexus is to have every teleport in it. It's just like I don't
I do
know.
agree. I don't think it should have every single teleport.
If you think
I'm
about
fine
it,
with it.
Barrows,
I'd be Barrows is one of the interesting
it's
ones.
done so much that if you wank Barrows on there, the Barrows teleport tab will probably go down in price by quite a lot.
So maybe
That's true.
maybe with the exception of some teleports, we can put some of the more niche
That being
ones.
said, though, would it even be worth it? Because you still have to go to your house just to use a teleport, which you can just bop onto your magic to spellbook.
Lumbridge Graveyard, anybody?
Exactly as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the teleports there are pretty dead.
Yeah.
No, it's how I get to the Slayer Tower. Well, it's how I got to the Slayer Tower before I ended up getting my Slayer ring. And well, yeah.
Who's going to use the teleport to mine the altar from their house regularly? Like,
New rune crafting meta.
Well, I just thought of a use for your Lumbridge Graveyard one. Quicker way to get to Alcarid if you have the shortcut.
Ooh.
There you go.
Okay. I'd be interested to poll that one then to see if the players would like it.
Well, if you're going from the house, you might have an Amethyst of Glory in there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. All that.
That's all that. Yeah, but that's to the palace.
Yeah.
All right, I'll move on to Sean is a potato. Sorry, Sean.
Sorry, Shawnee.
Sorry, yeah.
They suggest that the Derange Archaeologist drop a mushroom sack for holding mushrooms during Celiosep wood cutting.
Mushroom sack.
Jesus.
A mushroom sack. They say it's frustrating to have to drop so many mushrooms given that they're somewhat valuable.
No, Ash, I know why you did that. I read that.
Will that affect the XP rates? That's the thing, because
I don't think it would, because they'll just be dropping them. It does make it more profitable.
I kind of don't want to do it. I know why they want it, but it was. I'm not trying. Like, I was being mean when I designed that place. Okay, I wanted people specifically to be like, I don't need these mushrooms. Drop, run all the way to the thing and go.
I
"Need
wish I had
mushrooms."
those mushrooms.
Yeah, like the point is, like you're already not paying. You're paying a bit of attention running about, but not very much. Like all you need to do is remember, I'm on the tree before the one I'm about to get to. I should hopefully still keep some mushrooms for the next one. Like it means that the final tree, Celiosep, I say tree. The final Celiosep, you have to just do a little bit of inventory management, but like that was kind of intended.
That said, I would like to see more players using Celiosep. I think it's kind of an underused method, and maybe this would be a nice little.
I'm seeing a
thing
lot more
to
people
buff
doing
it.
them recently. If you look at the charts, actually, there's more people.
Okay.
I did look the other day because I saw somebody doing it. I was like, oh, people are doing that content.
Cool.
And the graphs are they've been going up for some reason. So I guess somebody might have put it on a video or something.
it's pretty good XP.
It's good XP, good fossil finding. So it's also training in rune crafting.
Yeah, for
everybody loves
crafting
it.
XP.
All right. In a reply to this suggestion, Sloth suggested a fossil sack instead, where you just put your fossils in.
You know what? We can probably put a crate somewhere nearby.
Yeah,
because there
it's
is.
annoying to have to drop.
There's already those, and
Yeah.
moving them from your sack into the box is probably not going to be fun.
We can pop it somewhere around the area. I think that makes it does the same thing.
Okay.
Is there ever any sign of an archaeologist wandering back and forth between all those crates, transferring items, or do they just do it?
I thought it was a Dark Altar.
Everything is.
Everything's at the moment. Everything's either a sack, a key, or the Dark Altar. It's just,
Yes, Goditzo was corrupted by the power of the sack. Anywho, what have you got next for us?
I have a question from Karma, and they ask if more players are voting in polls after the results have been hidden. If not, do we have ideas to encourage more voting?
Well, we did find that we put some tracking in and got data. What was going on before we hid the results was that at the start of a poll, people would turn up, interact with the poll booth, and then go on to vote. But as the days went by, people were much more likely to turn up, look at the poll booth, and then not vote. That could be if they were happy with the results they were seeing, could be they weren't, but didn't feel like doing anything about it because they didn't think it was worthwhile. What we're seeing now is that people do turn up to the poll booth and vote, regardless of how long the poll's been open, rather than walking away again without voting. The total quantity of voters isn't drastically high. I mean, it's skewed up a smidge, but that could be because the...
I'm okay. I'm okay. It's out my system now, mate. Don't worry about it.
I don't actually believe you, but I'm glad you're okay. The total number of voters is a little higher, but that could be because we've just done a bit more marketing about the polls in question. Or it could be that people are just more interested in the topic again. Mm-hmm. Either way, I think we're probably getting higher quality results. I saw somebody saying in the chat earlier, by the way, that these days the polls are rigged because the results are hidden. But if you believe that, what makes you think they were ever any different?
Yeah, that was always my. I couldn't say it more close to the time because it's more of a touchy subject. But now we can kind of joke about it. But it's kind of true. It's like I'm just saying we could have rigged it at any point if they were visible or not, and you don't know that we were doing that. We're not, but we could have.
If we were, there wouldn't be a wilderness ditch.
That's true.
I think we did have a pretty obvious agenda on that one, up to and including hashtags.
In terms of going back to the question real quick as well, I wouldn't mind potentially on the logout screen where the world switcher is and the vote panel, like maybe in the future potentially having the ability to answer a poll on an interface somewhere. Like that's a viable thing if you guys would want that.
Making voting really convenient.
Yeah, without being intrusive as well.
Legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously people don't too much like us change the game frame.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in you having to go to a long rigmarole to be able to express your views if you satisfy the requirements. I don't, however, feel that we should be adding rewards, which has been suggested a bit.
Yeah.
Because while it might get more opinions, they're from people who genuinely wouldn't have expressed their opinion without being paid to do so, and they can keep their opinion, to be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that answers.
I think so.
Was there 3 points to that?
No, they just asked if more people were voting, or if we have better ways to, different ways to encourage it.
I think we covered that.
In-interface thing is a good idea potentially if we need it. The next is a suggestion from Navi Zuko, and they suggest a construction minigame near Karamja Shipyard whereby you would bring your own planks and work on the ships, like maintaining them and building them. So it would still cost money in that you're bringing your own planks, and it would offer lower than normal experience, but give you a better GP to XP ratio.
If I recall correctly, the shipyard was expecting to get a huge shipment of wood in the form of a dead grand tree that was going to be lugged over there somehow and turned into battleships. So they might genuinely want people to start doing this kind of thing.
That's a nice idea. I always preferred construction contracts as an idea suggested by players for construction changes. I think that adding a method that's slightly less expensive but slightly slower already exists within construction. Whereas construction contracts was more interactive, lower cost, lower XP thing instead. So it's like it feels different instead of it just being, instead of building stuff with planks here, I'm building stuff with planks here, but it's not as good.
If you want something cheap and decent XP, just do Dragon Slayer 2 and do Mythical Cape stand.
Yeah.
I think part of it is just, it's about changing the way it's trained, so you're not building a thing, destroying it, building the thing again,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
feels a bit odd.
Yeah.
I think it's about giving it some flavour, as well as, yeah, like I say, a better GP to XP ratio option.
It's not that it's a bad idea by any stretch of the imagination. It's just I think I've heard better suggestions for solving that issue, and I'd like to, if we ever have the time, focus on that over
Sure.
this one. But just personally, Mythical Capes are bad now. Dude,
Are they bad? I thought they were quite good.
I thought they were quite good as well.
Oh, okay.
Panic sell.
It's pretty cheap. But you know, who wants to do that when you can do something fast?
It's like, no, limestone bricks. That's the real cheap method.
Just be rich, forehead. Just have loads of GP. It's easy. Our next question is from Spine Wielder from the Old School Wiki. He asks if the river Hoz and Doin can be labelled on the world map. Those are the rivers running through Hosidius and East Ardoin.
Sounds all right to
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
Shame I was in there only the other day adding Laren's chests.
Okay.
That's not a euphemism.
All right. Yeah. Sounds like we'll do that then. Done. All caps Doin. Is that is the right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Ardoin.
thanks.
Mm.
Cool.
Not Dogen, as I used to think as a kid.
Right, Not Talented wants to know if we can get a message to let us know when we've successfully poisoned or venomed our enemies. At the moment, it's a guessing game.
Not in PvP though.
What?
No, you struggled with successfully for a little
Successfully,
while.
yeah,
It'd be
no,
trickle.
yeah, sorry. A message to let us know if we've poisoned or venomed a thing.
Surprisingly tricky for NPCs.
The chat don't seem to want it as well. To be fair, I kind of like the player not knowing until it happens,
Okay.
because otherwise it gets rid of this. Like if you have you're trying to poison something and then you stop, the only time it means that people can switch back to their main weapon quicker if they immediately know that it's affected, instead of having to keep trying, or it looks like you keep trying. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If I remember rightly though, you could just use the Bone Dagger spec if it's poisoned and it's 100%. If I remember.
I think it'd be more.
It also does extra damage from behind. Nobody knows that. Nobody uses it or cares about it, but that's what it does.
Does it really?
Yeah, it deals extra damage. It's called max stab. That's why. And it deals. I think it has better damage and accuracy.
Like in the quest when you're taking out the guards.
Yes.
It makes sense.
But have you ever tried to attack an NPC from behind in this game? It ain't easy.
Because we don't have a stealth skill.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that in the code last time I looked.
Oh, was it the dagger? Something does that.
It definitely has
Okay.
that law.
Is it just not coded? Is that what it's meant to do? And it's
Was I recall it was meant to be a bonus on surprise attacks, which was defined as you're not the last person to hit it. Like, no one's hit it before, so that's a surprise, or someone else hit it, now you've joined in, that's a surprise. And it was checking for you just not being the last thing to hit the target. Which could, of course, happen a lot if there's two of you using the same thing in a multi-combat area.
oh dear. I think we need to check that special attack
might be a
info
good
hover
idea.
over at some point.
Quick,
I think
panic buy the bone dagger.
actually hit an OP.
It might not even be the Bone Dagger. I know there's something which does 100%. I can't remember which.
Okay. Golden wants post-99 experience scaling for skilling pets. Because there are people with tens of millions of XP who are still not getting skilling pets. And he feels bad for them. He's probably one of them.
This guy has 200 mil woodcutting XP and he's still not got his beaver.
You know, I just got pets off from people in 99. Can't complain anymore.
Chat's vehemently against this one.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan
I'd
as
rather
well.
not touch pets, especially ones that should been out for years.
Yeah.
Because people don't like the RNG aspect of them.
Okay.
There already is an RNG aspect to them once you hit 200 mil. Albeit no one really gets 200 mil, but if you do get 200 mil, there's a much higher chance of getting the pet, as far as I know.
Is it much? I don't think it's much. I think it's surprise.
15, it's 15-fold, isn't it?
I think
At
so.
200
Yeah,
mil.
but 15-fold of billions is still pretty rare.
I think the chance of getting the woodcutting pet is like 1 in 20 odd mil. So 15 times that.
it's still like 1 in 3, 1 in 2.5 mil. It's still a lot, mate.
Barely an XP though in the long run.
That's true.
Okay, it sounds like probably not going to do that, but good luck on your pet grind.
Sorry, what was the name?
Golden.
Sorry, Golden. Good luck.
Cholby wants the login screen to say the exact last time we logged in rather than just you last logged in earlier today. They say it would be useful for things like if you're concerned about being hijacked and just generally they want to more. Is that possible?
It'd be nice to have, but the tech staff would need to actually pipe the information to the game worlds for us to output it for you. At the moment, as far as I know, they only output it to the nearest day.
Okay.
Could we cheat a little bit? I'm thinking maybe on logout. It would only work if you actually log out and not get kicked offline somehow. But potentially we could have it so that the clock that we have, we actually store that.
Oh, we could do it based on that, I suppose, yeah.
I'm thinking. That sounds like a cheaty way to do it, but it's what popped in my head.
By all means, have a go.
It's possible, but if you disconnect from the game, it might not be there.
You might also get a very amusing result if the server's clocks change unexpectedly.
Yeah.
But that's probably not a sticking point most of the time.
Okay.
They shouldn't do that a lot.
All right, yeah, that's been confirmed then. That's coming next week, courtesy of Mad Wolf.
That's
I'm joking.
rude. No, it's just
Oh, what did you see?
I'm not getting weight.
Oh, I don't think so. Are you looking lean as ever? Good shape.
I've lost weight. I lost 2 kilo.
Oh, well done.
I went from 62 down to 60 again. I'm very light. Darn you. What was his name? I would have called him out, but his name's not there. Find his name and find his name in the chat. Don't do
Hunt
that.
him down, chat. Okay, so yes, Cholby, it sounds like we might be able to hack that one. Could be a nice change to have. ASDF wants to know if we can reveal which skills will be relevant in the Gauntlet. That's the PVM challenge coming along with Song of the Elves in Prifddinas. The one that's going to award you with potentially the Blade of Seldor and the Crystal Armor. They say they already know that the gathering skills will be useful, but what about crafting, smithing, and fletching?
I don't know what that team's comfortable sharing about this.
I wanted to say I don't think we should necessarily spoil the specific skills you'll need, but I wanted to give a bit of advice, which was just imagine yourself in that kind of situation. What skills would be useful? What would you want to help prepare yourself for a big boss fight?
Panic by Searcole.
There we go.
Yeah, get 99 rune crafting just to be safe.
Can't Know Me wants to know what the engine team are currently working on. They have a two-part question, but the first question is, what are the engine team currently?
Okay, so there's various of them doing various things. One of the most recent engine updates we got a couple of weeks ago now, I think, was an under-the-hood rewrite of the process of our scripting language to let it handle new types of data, including longs. That's not meant that wasn't intended to have any player-facing effects, and thankfully it doesn't seem to have had any player-facing effects. Thanks to Mod Atlas for working very carefully there, and also to his testers. What that's for is so that we can handle data types relating to clans and players' permanent UIDs, unique identifiers, so that we can do more things with permanent grouping, like a clan. And that needed a fairly big change under the hood, because previously every data type we'd got other than strings were 32-bit, and player permanent UIDs are 64-bit. So are clan identifiers and a few other things. So they had to do quite a lot of work to make that happen. It's been rather useful. It also gave us the ability to pass data differently into certain types of scripts, so that we can write scripts more flexibly than we could before. That's already in use for the recent Last Man Standing change, by the way, and possibly some more stuff in... No, I don't think I had to use it for tomorrow's update. Anyway, so we got that from them. As you can tell, that's not done anything much for you now, but it's building towards being able to give you a clan system, something we've wanted for many years. I remember 2015 might have been the year of the clan, but the engine team wasn't available then. but we hope that they can actually undertake that project now that there's more of them than there used to be, and mobile's back out of the way. Aside from mobile, though, we do have other things needed for that platform. A common niggle, for example, is that certain devices have great big notches with cameras. Have I used a funny word? Oh no, it isn't.
Again.
What do you do to him? What's he doing to him?
It's just they're trying now. Now they're doing it on purpose.
I guess I'll talk about notches some more. So, some phones have their cameras kind of inset, and that means that we can't use the edges of the screen because there might be a camera stuck in there on one side or the other. And so far, the game hasn't been able to tell whether you're on one of those devices or not, which means that we had to inset all the game content from the sides, regardless of what device you're on. And this has been a bit of a complaint for many people. Next engine update's meant to let us auto-detect whether you've got an inset notch, so that we can decide whether or not to use the outside space. Should be quite a big help actually, because being able to click on the side stones with your thumb near the side of the screen feels easier for me. So that's the next thing we're due to get from them. We know there's other things wanted. I'm afraid I don't know the order they'll be able to undertake them, but Clans is in the pipeline. That improvement to the inset of wide phones, that's in the pipeline. Apart from that, they were, while it's not directly their department, I think some of the stuff the tech staff need to improve the delay you get when you're logging into a world. Sometimes it's really long, like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. I think some of the engine team are having to help with that a bit, even if it's not directly their department. What they're aiming for, by the way, is to sort of, there isn't a nice solution, sadly, because the system gets a heck of a lot of load these days. But to smooth out the worst cases, I'm optimistic that'll be some help when we get it. I'm afraid I don't know the ETA. That's everything that springs to mind. Also something for mobile. We'd like to be able to do, like, I think, notifications, mobile notifications for things like, well, I don't know what we exactly will be able to do, but we might be able to get it for GE, maybe even some farming patch stuff, some of that kind of thing. That's somewhere in their list as well of things I expect to see sooner rather than 2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
The UID change is quite a good one.
Yeah, I think I might have had enough of me talking by now, unless you'd like to put on another show. Because that really livened up the last long,
I like
long
the
section I had.
I like the what's it called? It's a little known bug. I think I was talking about it before. It's mathematically like implausible, but it's technically possible because we never had UIDs. That when you a lot of quests spawn NPCs on you based on a random number that's generated when you log in. Like you are randomly assigned a number from like 1 to 2.147 million, and it's technically possible that two people could have that same number previously, and when that NPC spawns, it could allow the other person to attack it. So like in quests, you could jump to like a quest state, and providing it's not safely written, you can skip quests that way in some things, which is now able to be avoided with UIDs. Pretty cool.
It would also have been helpful when we first launched Superior Slayer. You know, if you logged out very, very briefly and got back in and the monster was still there, it wouldn't recognise you. Now, to get around that, Kieran wrote a nice little hack that makes it remember something about you. But there's a 1 in like 2 billion chance that it'll be the same as for another player, so they could steal your Superior. With these proper permanent UIDs, we'd be able to make sure that just doesn't happen. As long as we never get whatever the number is, 2 to the power of 64 accounts created. But heck, if that happens, we'll probably be on a beach. If they subscribe.
Yeah, I think in terms of engine work and the engine team, I know we reference it a lot, and a lot of the time the answer is the engine team are too busy. And it seems like a lot of the times the answer is no, when we'd like it to be yes. But hopefully Ash has given some insight into how busy they are and that they are constantly working on important things. And it is a precious resource.
Did we shout out RuneFest, by the way? At any point?
RuneFest.
Remember to buy tickets for RuneFest? Do that.
Yeah, come see
Yeah.
us. We're all going, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wolfgang. Wolffog, I mean.
So, yeah, that question was actually a two-parter as well. So more specifically, this player wants to know if we can get something similar to the Adventurer's Log in the future.
You know, there was a time, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Kieran was working on something like this at one point, like just as a tester. And he put it in, he tried to make it in-game. I'm not going crazy, right? This was a thing that nearly was attempted, right?
I remember him trying a few things. That could well have been one of them.
So I just think it was just in his personal time, though, so it didn't go anywhere. If there's a desire for it, we can definitely do it.
Well, if they were expecting it as it was before on the website, then I do not see the tech stuff being available to take that one.
With the caveat that it's in-game. But yes.
But yeah, if we could do that in game, it might satisfy a lot of the desire. The collection log kind of counts towards some of it as it is. So that might be a compromise we could do. I understand when RS3 did have those pages, the traffic to them was extremely low, which is not a very pressing case for taking a team's very valuable time and having them spend a lot of it creating a system for us that talks to old school, and that, if it's anything like the traffic RS3 had, doesn't get very heavily used, because boy do we need a lot more from that team. Their time's arguably more precious than the engine team.
Okay. I'm going to move on then to a question from Lit. They ask if we can change the Ghostly Robe's prayer requirement for getting the hood. So if you get the second possible path in that mini quest, then it's located upstairs in the monastery, which requires 31 prayer to access, which means some pures are able to get the full set, whereas others are not, which seems unfair.
Could we make it a construction requirement instead of making a ladder outside?
Sneak into the monastery.
I'd be fine with that. It's not really fair to not be able to partake in something just because your account has bad RNG.
I would agree.
Which you physically can't change yourself.
There's lots of no's in chat, but I think it's not great that two accounts could have equal stats, but differing access to content feels bad.
Again.
So where do they stand on Vigor, who might be in the wilderness or might not?
That's
think
not as
it's him.
bad because any account can go into the wilderness. But if you're a 13 prayer pure or
Oh, I didn't think it's as bad. I just thought it would come up in this context is all.
You know,
do
actually,
you think?
I completely agree. That should be properly looked into being changed.
Okay. All right.
Observatory used to be raised a lot in this, because if you got a sign, I think it was Taurus.
I really want to do that as well.
Hasn't come up lately.
Oh, yes. The chat reminded me of something. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
The
So
chat has also suggested changing observatory.
our next question is from Yeshua. It's not a suggestion. It's just a generic question asking which city would each of you live in if you were transported to Gillinor? Like that. Where would you live?
I do love a good cringe question. They always spice up the stream, don't they?
I'd pick Yano because he's pretty chill and all the wizards are there.
Cool.
And if I was in RuneScape, I'd probably become a wizard or something that's like cool magic and stuff.
Yeah, nice.
Come back to me.
Come back to you. All right. I think my instinct is Vice, actually.
Okay.
All the trolls. Somewhere alpine. I like skiing, so that's nice, and snowball fights.
Hang out with my arm. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I would choose Thriftiness.
Oh,
Coming summer.
But you're not an elf.
2019. Yeah. It's fine though, because elves are very well renowned for their kindness towards other people, right?
Are they?
No, they're not. They'll be
I
fine.
don't think they tend to assimilate much. They tend to be quite pure.
Yeah, they're nice people.
All right.
Yeah, they don't trade
I'd go for a
defence.
drink with an elf, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think I
There we
would.
go.
Depends if it's Isilwin, because he's kind of grouchy.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are just plain nasty in that quest. I think Ardoin, I like a market, it's got food stalls, it's got pubs. I think I'd be very happy at Ardoin.
Has it got a pub?
Yeah.
Yes, oh yes.
Where is the pub?
Well, there's the Flying Horse, I think it's called.
Oh, that's the one.
Where you get the Achievement Diary cape.
I love adding pubs in the game. I love adding pubs because the best part's just naming them. I love naming pubs. It's like my favourite thing in the world.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's great because we always have little unique signs made for them as well. They're just really good. They're top notch.
Have you thought of an answer?
Yeah,
You decided?
I'd probably live in Hosidius.
Osiris. Especially after the rework.
Oh, that's got markets soon now.
Yeah, it looks like they have good food as well.
Yeah, nice. Good choice. All right. So our next question is from P-Bar. That's what I'm going to go with. They want to know how often RS3 comes up in discussions when we're considering new content. For example, this is too much like RS3, let's avoid that.
All the time, but less like that. Like when it comes, I said like 5 times. I did my biggest pet peeve. Sorry. Usually, RuneScape comes up in conversation when we are looking at things to potentially avoid, like hindsight-wise. We have the benefit of hindsight. We can look at the good parts of updates that they've done, take it away without the bits that the people didn't enjoy. So, their players. So you look at like, you know the pad graphics machine meme that they used to have on Reddit, and you joke, but it's like you look at Elite Slayer creatures, right, like Elite Slayer mobs, and RuneScape did something similar. Like that was a RuneScape update, but it wasn't as successful in their game, I'd say. Its rewards were a bit lacking and in comparison, and we looked at it and like, well, there's a great concept there. People like Slayer, get that on a shirt, but there's a little underwhelming. So we took from that and we were like, okay, we need to give it some unique rewards that are extremely rare. And obviously we added the heart. Now it's got the Eternal Slayer gem. So we learned from that. It came up in conversation. We went, how can we make it better? And it comes up more often like that, as opposed to we don't want to do that because they've done it, or it's too much like that thing.
Yeah.
That's generally how it comes up in conversation, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on.
It also helps us know what would work and what wouldn't. Like Ash said, the adventure log, cool idea, but doesn't really get much traffic. And it's sort of like, you look at it once, yeah, that's really cool, but that's about it. So, helps us make updates which aren't really going to be popular to begin with.
Especially if that one would take the tech team,
Yeah.
well, I don't know how long it would take them to make, but it would have to get a lot of traffic to warrant it. Especially as there's other things you guys probably want more from them.
All right. I'm going to move on to a suggestion from Concept. And they ask if the Dagonoth Kings could drop an untradeable scroll that would teleport you to just outside their lair, similar to the one Cerberus drops.
Whoa! No!
I don't
You need to be able to walk through all that. Get your
not even
pet
that.
What if it was like super rare?
It's not even that, it's just because Dagonoth Kings are already really easy once you get to a high level. And the rings are at a really good price.
And you got diaries as well. You can just camp it.
Yeah, so
Like, you don't want to
Good.
crash rings anymore.
if you were to make it even
Didn't you
easier,
have to wait for the chat's response to give an answer to that one? We were always like, no.
Yeah, I think we said enough.
All right.
Why'd you put that question in? Come on, man.
If we filtered out questions
asked the
based on
question.
just thinking we've got a strong answer to it, we'd never get very far.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, well, probably not then, Concept.
Sorry, bro.
Greyfur wants us to add more monsters that are weak to specific things. They say, for example, a giant turtle with high defense against everything except crush or magic, or an ethereal being that can only be hurt by magic. I think the point here is they want monsters and bosses that require you to use typically underused combat methods. I think this is a good idea, and anyone who hasn't seen the Forthos dungeon poll blog yet should look at it and read about Sarachnis, or Forthos to check out the Q&A where Mod Husky talks all about Sarachnis. I think that's a good example of this, where it's got one specific weakness which is fitting and makes sense, and I think we should do more of this kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah?
I like the concept. It's something we try to do, but obviously when you have really powerful items like the blowpipe, the twisted bow, the whip and the scythe, they always become the best in slot anyway because they're so useful. So if we try to specifically target something with a certain attack style or weapon, then I think it would make that thing more popular. Just not circles.
But you've got to panic buy them. And they've got a mechanic that really does lend itself to this exact kind of topic.
Yeah.
I think the issue with the blowpipe in particular, just shredding everything, means if we do want something to have a specific weakness, it has to have a high ranged defense.
Yeah. What's like the gauntlet's going to allow you to take in circles at the start to deal extra damage from the beginning, and then you lose it afterwards. So it's going to be an example of that.
That's in addition to the buff, right, as well? It's coming.
And that buff that's coming to it as well. Just to make it's the new twisted bow. You combine it with a twisted bow, 1,000 of them in fact.
I thought we were doing it in construction so we can make it into a crossbow.
We're doing both of these.
That's actually not a terrible idea, by the way. I like that.
See your expo.
All right, I'm going to crack on. I realise we're actually nearing the end of the stream. If you have any questions in chat, just sort of spam them there. We haven't got someone to collect them and add them to the bottom of my document here, but we'll try and pick them out on the screen as we go.
There's one there from ex-Shadow Rider about using the Frozen Door in God Wars to do some group bosses rather than the usual kind of instance ones we've had over the recent years. I'd be glad to see more non-instanced ones.
I think a lot of players would as well, especially given their reaction to the Sarachnis pitch.
Which Husky changed.
Yes, which Husky changed from instanced to non-instanced based on that feedback. Yeah, I'd like to see more group bosses as well.
Specifically, the Frozen Door was mentioned. How do we feel about doing something there that isn't going to be a copy of Nex?
We could.
We could.
The one I did in my spare time could be changed.
What did you do in your spare time?
Remember the rat?
Oh, that. That's a very big change from what you pitched.
No, it could be changed quite easily.
It's going to be a big rat.
I think so long as it's like God themed, it'll still fit in with the area and be pretty cool. I don't think
It's the rat god. Raticus
Yep.
the second.
Would it have to be Zaros aligned, something that we put behind there? I mean, I suppose not necessarily.
It makes sense, but it doesn't have to. I don't think.
It very nearly wasn't in the other RuneScape. Originally, we looked at something that was more Gothics themed, not as a god avatar fighting the God Wars, because Gothics wouldn't have, but something that had the power of Gothics that needed to be kept restrained, so that it wouldn't come out and spoil the God Wars by weighing in on one side or the other. Then it felt it'd be more fun to do something with Zaros and more exciting, so Nex was designed instead, and I think that was a very good call for them.
What a good boss. What a great boss. Shout out to Chris. Like, still, to this day, holds up as a... Like, oh,
It's a shame it's got a few mechanics we can't recreate in our engine.
I know. So good, though.
It isn't part of the issue. We couldn't have Nex run, so to speak, if we wanted it to.
It's one of the bigger ones. It's one of the...
It's one of them.
Yeah, one.
Okay. All right. I've left out the name of the player who asked the next question, so presumably it was
Which should be good.
obscene. But they ask if they can have the option to disable the dialogue that occurs when they're clearing certain farming patches. They say it's annoying to confirm that they want to remove the plant every time. And I don't see why not for this
As
one.
long as you can't accidentally left click and have the whole thing gone before you realise what you've done, we're probably good. And even then, if they've opted that way, that's their decision.
Could always do a Don't Show Me Again. That's pretty popular in
Yeah.
interfaces.
Okay.
What about just a quick clear option when you right click?
That as well.
Oh god, you have to add a right click quick clear on every patch though, mate. Are you doing that? You volunteered, mate. There we go. All of a sudden, it's sounding a lot nicer to do a "Don't Show Me" again, isn't it?
Yeah.
So something that's been spammed in chat sort of throughout the stream, I think I'll address it now, is the third-party clients issue. I can't go into too much because, well, we're just not in a position to give an official statement on it yet. But I would like to reassure the players in the chat that we're not oblivious to what's going on and that it is being discussed. I won't say any more than that, lest I get in trouble for it. But
It's a rather higher level thing than any of us, I'm afraid.
yeah, I just wanted to alleviate any concerns that it's just sort of out of our scope. It's very much within, well, on our radar.
Yes.
Sean asks if Scaberites could be added as an unlock task for Duradel. Currently only Neve assigns them, despite them being a fun task that can be extended with points.
They're fun.
Does
Okay.
Duradel need a buff? Like,
Hey, it's not the end of the world, given that Konar's taking a lot of traffic from there.
it's true. It's just something's necessary. Like, Scarabites are really good tasks. Like,
Oh, really? I've always not had a good time.
well, we buff them, and they're really good experience when cannon. Like, very good experience.
Yeah, fair
It's like one of the top tier cannonable tasks, and it's really profitable. It's like a really good task. I extend them. I have them
Well,
extended
if it's a good task, why not put it on Duradel?
because if people are already using Duradel as the one to train for experience, does it need something else?
Maybe train at Neve for experience, I think.
Is it Neve now? Oh god, it goes back and forth depending on when we add things. Like,
Yeah. Also barrage tasks and all that.
Right.
then maybe, sure,
Okay.
perhaps.
For the player who's asking about the fossil boss and whether it's currently being developed, it is not. The graphics requirements to implement that one to Maz's design are considerable. Her design is for a boss unlike anything I've ever seen in either version of RuneScape, so that would take a fair bit of making, and we're not in a position to undertake a project like that just now. And it's not the only thing people would like from us as well, so maybe we'll get a version of it in future that doesn't have such high requirements, or maybe we'll have the resources we can put in to do it as she's designed. But it's not something you should expect anytime soon, sorry.
Is there an ETA on the new dungeon?
Should be good for next month.
Yeah. I don't want to give a specific date, but are we happy to say sort of the first half of next month?
Well, it's going to have to work around them elves, but we should be good for sometime next month.
Yeah.
Cool.
Them elves.
Someone asked why standard chickens can drop up to 15 feathers, whereas Kriara drops up to 9.
Those aren't feathers on Kriara.
What are they? Kind of floppy tendrils of flesh?
Yeah, that's actually what they are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right then.
It's
there
not,
you go.
It's not really.
No, it's canon now. You've said it.
I want an artist now to draw a really detailed, as like just like flappy skin.
Oh,
Or like Kriara.
Ew.
that's awful.
Is it canon? It's canon because I said so.
Our next question, well, our last question is from Godly, and they say that the Amulet of Avarice is underpowered. It only notes drops in the Revenant Caves, despite a lot of the value drops from there already being noted and the rest going straight into your looting bag. Could we buff it to note more things just in the wilderness generally?
We'd have to look at the balancing aspect of it and see if it's too overpowered. Because, fair enough, if you're in the Rev Caves, you're going to be skulled because you're wearing that thing. And the Rev Caves are going to be a lot more popular, rather than like random level 43 wilderness, where you won't really see anyone, but you might have to get something from there, like white berries, which would be quite useful if you are able to note them. Because you can just stay there, note a bunch. If you die, who cares? Just protect the amulet anyway.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing which you'd have to think about. Probably other things.
Okay. Reasonable. I think it fits thematically as well, sort of the idea of avarice, right? Like a greedy amulet, which encourages you to stay to grab as much as you can at the risk of getting PK'd and losing it all.
Could have worked it into the Wilderness Slayer update.
Right, so I've realised we're pretty much bang on 6 o'clock, so I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to give a few reminders before we say goodbye. So !progress will take you to the progress blog for Song of the Elves, written by the Song of the Elves team. Similarly, !elf stream will take you to a stream where the same team talked about the development of the quest and their inspirations behind it. And !Forthos will take you straight to the VOD from last week's Q&A, where Mod Husky gives an in-depth description of the development of Forthos Dungeon. And that just about touches on everything. Don't forget to buy RuneFest tickets.
Come to RuneFest. It'll be great.
And
It'll be awesome. There's some cool stuff planned for what we're potentially going to be announcing. So you don't want to miss it. You want to be there. It's going to be hype.
Quite right.
I'd love to meet you.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's going to clip
They're not going
that.
to come now.
No, now they're specifically going to come.
They'll clip that and play it on repeat all day, just in their headset.
Yeah. So I go to sleep too. Yeah, I saw that copy pasta again, where it's like, Monash came over to my
Is it
the haircut one.
Oh, okay. Oh.
There's a haircut.
You've seen it. You've definitely seen it. It's like it talks about you like brushing your hand through their hair, and it's weird, but it's good.
In terms of like fan content, shout out to Lil Smokey in that video.
Dude,
300.
I'm loving his videos at the moment. The 300 one was really good.
Fire. So good.
I'm wondering if somebody can find this copy pasta before we say goodbye.
No, I'm going to end the stream there before that happens. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on the couch this week. We'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.